rock, so take it away, John.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Merry Christmas and Trump-tastic New Year. I always say Christmas, it really triggers certain people. So I know many of you, most of you here, so great seeing you. Good morning again. And as Seth mentioned, I run Grant Opportunity USA, and for those of you who aren't familiar with Go USA, it is a 501c4 nonprofit, and our focus is reaching young and diverse audiences, because that's the Achilles heel for the conservative movement and the Republican Party. If you saw the stats on how bad it is, it's worse than you think. It's anywhere from 2 to 1 to 15, almost 20 to 1. Every demographic other than white, middle-aged, and Christian is supporting Democrats to their own self-destruction. So we have to work on that. So that's one of the focus. That's the main focus of Grant Opportunity USA. And when we say diversity, we mean everybody, including white people and Christians. That's part of diversity. The left doesn't understand that. They think diversity is exclusive. And so we'll be doing things next year at Go USA to reach these audiences through, well, I don't want to kind of blow the bubble, right, Michael? We're doing some things that are new with video, driving people around in a sort of a cash cab to get their to convert people to go to college campuses, speaking at political rallies, but also reaching people where they're at, not just conservatives, because we can talk to ourselves all day long, but we're only going to win if we talk to people that we're trying to reach. You know, millennials, LGBTQs. I don't like that word. I have a different name for it. Not traditional lifestyle, and people of different backgrounds. So that's what we're doing at Go USA. A few things that you probably have heard about. We came up with the idea of rebranding the entire Republican Party as the Grand Opportunity Party instead of the Grand Old Party. We just happen to think that opportunity is really the MO of the conservative movement. The left crushes opportunity under the jackboot of government, and we believe that opportunity is delivered through freedom, liberty, and small government. And the more I talk with college kids on college campuses, like 9 out of 10 agree with me. And they say, wait a minute, I never knew that there was Republicans like you. I said, well, because you never got the right story. So I believe that this message will work, and it will work in a big way, and it will crush the left's, a persona of us is that we're bigoted and racist and homophobic. That's all a lie made up by the left. So we want to work on fixing that at Grant Opportunity USA. And with that, and Michael here is on the board, and we're happy that when we're growing all the time at Go USA. We ran an event this summer called Conservative Proud, and the idea being we have to stop being ashamed of being conservative. It's not that we are here in this room, but right, like we should be saying, you know what, we're proud of being conservatives. How many people are like, oh, proud of being Hillary supporter? Back a couple of years ago when it's Bernie. You know, people walking around with Bernie stickers. I have nephews that work in Boston that all the people around them are like Bernie and and Biden. But if they were to say Trump, they'd probably lose their jobs, or at least they wouldn't get promoted. And so I'm like, no, put this in their face, because it's bigoted to say that you're against conservatives, right? So that's another thing that we're doing. And so with that, you kind of let the genie in the bottle. I'm looking at running for the 6th Congressional District here in Massachusetts, and not because I want to be in politics. I'm in politics because of my nonprofit. I always thought being a politician meant being some kind of insecure control freak that wants to control the people, right? To a certain degree, on the left especially, but even some people on the right, that's just been my perception. I didn't want, never wanted to be part of student council. I never was into any of that. But I'm thinking, wait a minute, we're supposed to serve the people, right? We're supposed to be not like controlling, but we're supposed to be kind of below, like a waiter serving people in a restaurant. We should be serving people. And from that perspective, I'm like, yeah, I can do that because I believe in my message and I believe this message will work. So I thought, I've been thinking about it. I considered a run for US Senate, but there's a whole bunch of reasons why I think that would be not only a tough battle, but it wouldn't be the right move for me. So I formed an exploratory committee called Stand with John Paul. You like the name? Stand with John Paul. Copying a little bit Corey Lewandowski is doing Stand with Corey for his exploratory run up in New Hampshire. And the idea is that there's a few reasons why I'm looking at running. So one is not because I want to be in control of people. I want to give people. I want to give government should be out of the control business because there's enough control and taxes and already, right? So and let me give you a little more of my background, because some people don't know my background. So I guess as a politician, I'm supposed to talk about my background. Right? So I actually started my career right down the street at MIT Lincoln Laboratory. I was an optical engineer. I co-designed and tested a $500 million space-based telescope, went up on a rocket 5 years later, successfully, unlike the Hubble. You guys have heard of the Hubble Space Telescope?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I know who the guy is that screwed that up. He was the optical test engineer that had faulty test optics. So when you create an optical lens that's worth $1 billion, you have to test it. Well, the test optics are wrong. So I was in the hot seat at MIT, and they said, "You're in charge of this, and don't screw it up." So I didn't screw it up. So that went in space. And then after that, I started a marketing agency called Blue Wave Marketing in Boston. I've been running that for about 20 years. I've also started a surf brand in California. I am a surfer and snowboarder, and that's a side thing we're still doing online. I ran a screen printing shop in Everett for 12 years, so I know all about the blue collar world, having run a print shop with about 30 employees. And right now I'm forming a new digital marketing arm of my business. So I am pretty busy, and I know this is going to take everything I have to run for office and win. And I have a background in I'm an author as well. So I wrote a book called Cues for Conservatives. And that the mission of that book was to basically blow up the whole stupid Rules for Radicals. Who's heard of Rules for Radicals? The Communist Manifesto that basically inspired 5 decades of communism in the Democratic Party. So I thought we needed to have something that would change the narrative, that the conservative response to that. So I wrote Cues for Conservatives, How to Engage Millennials and Unite the Conservative Movement. I'm on to my 2020 edition now, and that'll be out by the spring. I also produced a TV series called Break Out of the Conservative Closet, a pilot for that with Martin Luther King's granddaughter, Angela Stanton King, and Ricky Rebel, who's a pop star in California. He's the guy that wore the big Trump suit in the Grammys, basically thrown out of Hollywood after that. So we were like, we're very much, let's do something different to reach people. So we were actually trying to get that on television. It's going to be an uphill battle, but we're working on that. So that's kind of my background. I'm a lifelong Catholic, a lifelong conservative. I've never voted Democrat once in my entire life. And I'm gay, and I'm for gay rights all the way, but I'm not for the LGBTQ political, which is actually, believe it or not, it's now anti-gay. I can explain that if you want. But the LGBTQ political movement I have nothing to do with, because it's not about gay and trans rights. It's about leftist power and finding ways to divide us and finding ways to attack Christianity and attack our founding principles, and it has nothing to do with your attraction to somebody else. So that's my background, and I don't usually take notes. I'm like Trump. I usually just go right off the top of my head, but I don't want to miss anything, so I've got a couple notes. So there's a few reasons why I believe I need to run, because first of all, I believe that this message, having tested it with the most left-wing places you can go, college campuses, has been successful. That we have to stop the one party blue party rule here in Massachusetts. We don't have one single Republican congressman or woman in all 6 New England states. And there's not many, when you include New York, New Jersey, there's almost none, right? But there's none, and that has to change, right? Especially here in Massachusetts. I believe we need a different, unconventional approach. Conventionality doesn't work. If we go and we do another standard, run-of-the-mill campaign, it's not going to work, because this state is too left-leaning, right? But we have to hit them where they're not, where we can hit them, and that's where going for diverse audiences, young people, and showing we actually mean that we want to serve people instead of lord over people is the thing that connects with people when I talk with people. So I believe the message will work. We have to be loud, bold, and proud, right? We have to be very proud of being conservative. We can't take the old tact of making excuses or hiding. And I don't hide about being gay either. I'm not going to make excuses about it. But I'm not for example, I'm Catholic. I'm not for the religious sacrament of marriage. I'm a Catholic, and the Catholic Church says you can't be a woman priest. I may disagree with that, but that's the Catholic rules, and I subscribe to that. I also don't subscribe to the nuclear family. In the Catholic Church, In other words, you can thread the needle between civil rights for gay people, which I'm all for, and saying you understand that there is something called religious liberty. You guys ever hear of that? It's why our country was damn founded, basically, right? And the left wants to crush that. Support for socialism in the U.S. is growing, and it's frightening. And we could potentially become a socialist country in just a few years. So that's another reason why I'm running, because we have to call it out and end it. It should no part of American politics. And 87% of young people don't even know that socialism means dictator economics. They think it means equality. So I like to call it dictator economics. When I do,
that's good.
Kids don't like it so much. I say, who wants socialism? Who wants capitalism? Who wants dictator economics? Nobody. Who wants free market economics? Everybody. I'm like, okay, we have a problem. There's a problem with language. So that's one example of things that we like to do at Go USA. I'm borrowing that from my campaign. Seth Moulton has done very little for the district. He's got like maybe 3 bills he helped co-sponsor. He did a couple things to the VA, which I appreciate. He is as a man with a military background, toured 4 times in Iraq. Of course, we all appreciate that, but that doesn't mean that did not transfer to his service as a politician. So that's why 2 more minutes. So that's another reason why I think he's not serving the people of the 6th district. There's a whole bunch of reasons why I can get into it. Kind of limited time, but he's for. I mean, he's basically the list of things he's for. The radical LGBTQ agenda. He says he's not a socialist, but he supports AOC's Green Deal, $93 trillion Green Deal. He's said many things against the Second Amendment. A guy that protected our country with a gun in his hand is against our people having the right to bear arms. So there's just a long, and he's also for abortion up to birth. So his list of negatives is huge, and I'm against everything I just said. I'm against everything he is. So if I had to put it quickly, that's another reason why I'm running. In principle, he's also ticked off Nancy Pelosi in the Democrat Party because he tried to overthrow her. So he's not very well liked by Democrats. He's not very liked by Republicans, even less. And I think independents are not thrilled with his performance as a U.S. rep here in Massachusetts. And to kind of sum it up, importantly, when I did my event this summer, we had a rally in Lexington because I started working here right out of college, right in Lexington. I was so proud of being where liberty began, where the first shots were fired for liberty. And I'll be damned if this is where it ends. So we need to fight. We need to fight like the Minutemen. We have to fight because this is like the Third American Revolution. The first one we all know about against the tyrants at the time in Great Britain. The second one was against the Democrat Party in the Civil War. It was the Republicans versus the Democrats. It was the United States Republicans versus the Democrat Confederacy. Okay? We fought socialism in World War II. We fought socialism in the Cold War. And now socialism is inside. It's an inside job in our own country. And how about we take it back here in Massachusetts? How about we take it back? So that's what I'm looking for. So we need help. If I'm going to run, I need all the help I can get from volunteers, from donors, because I don't have a big bank account. So if we're going to win, we need money, we need volunteers, and I want every Republican and every free-minded person in this state to stand behind me and make this happen. I like to say I don't want 51%, I want 80%. 20% of people are crazy. You're probably never going to get to them, right? I mean, like in terms of the politics. But I believe 4 to 5 people I talk to agree with me when I talk with them. So let's go for all of it. I don't want to beat Seth Moulton by 1%. I want to landslide and show the left that we can do it. And by the way, I'd be the first openly gay Republican in the federal level in American history. Never has there been an openly gay, a person that ran as an openly gay person. And I thought that'd be cool. It'd be awesome for that to happen here in Massachusetts, right? So, all right. Anybody have any questions? I don't want much more time.
Questions for John.
Yeah, I got 2. One of them was, first of all, just 2 questions. Do you know if the left is going to put somebody up against Seth at all? And the second question I have is, what ever happened to Milo? I mean, he was a pretty effective voice in the beginning, and now we don't hear from him. Did they suppress him, or what was the story?
All right, so I believe I've heard rumors that there's going to be people primarying Seth Moulton.
Good.
And I believe they're going to be far left AOC types, and I believe it's partly because the leadership in Washington is so angry at him for going against Nancy Pelosi. Nasty Pelosi, I call it.
That's good.
And Moulton, I think I might call him Moulton. I have to go, okay, and then, and the other question is, Milo, as you probably can guess, I know all the, like, the leading gay conservatives in the country. We're all kind of like, we have a little friendship. And I know Milo, and he basically said, there was a few years ago where he indicated that he kind of was supporting pedophilia, even though he kind of wasn't. He was just saying it happens in the gay world, and it happened to him. But he just said it in a way that crossed a line. And then everybody was just like, whoa, that's just too much. So I think that basically, that was like one misstep. But the thing is, the left, you can have a million missteps and they forgive you. You have one misstep on the right, like Roseanne Barr is another example. You have one misstep and you're gone, right? So that's part of it. So his message is still great, but I think he likes pushing the envelope is his MO, but I think he just crossed one line that conservatives said they couldn't handle.
Okay, other questions?
Any other questions?
Yeah, I worked as a subcontractor for US Aircraft, and they put up the satellite again? Didn't work.
Hubble telescope.
Oh, the Hubble.
Hubble. And I thought that they corrected it, US Aircraft. Didn't they send something up to correct the Hubble?
It was corrected, yeah.
Or were you involved in the correcting?
No, I wasn't involved in correcting the Hubble. It was just an example because I worked on a different space-based, it was for the US Air Force.
Any political questions for John?
Yeah. I know. I used to be an MIT engineer, but I still do marketing for tech companies. Sure.
Yeah, so here.
How do you plan to react to or deal with the LGBTQ group that will be attacking you because you're not with them?
Well, I am with them in terms of rights. I'm not with them in terms of politics.
Good.
And I'm going to say, first of all, you've got to be like, can I say this? The politician dropped it in your head as a baby or something? To be so stupid to think, how about if Republicans supported true gay rights and Democrats did, then there would be nobody against you. So they really should be fighting for me because I'm fighting for true gay and trans and LGBTQ rights and the civil level. But there's a great bill called the Fairness Act. Have you guys heard about it?
No.
Yeah.
There's forget the congressman's name is in Utah. He's a Mormon, and he wrote up something called the Fairness Act instead of the Equality Act, and that threads a needle between giving off, gay and trans and lesbian rights for all Americans, but carves out religious institutions cannot be prohibited from having certain religious exemptions. Because like a guy like O'Rourke was saying that he wanted to basically shut down effectively the Catholic Church if gays aren't allowed to marry. That's crazy. You can get married anywhere else. It's a government thing. It's nothing to do with the church. So there's a way to thread the needle. So I would just put it to I'm going to get a lot of hate, but I think I also going to get equally a lot of love because people are going to say that guy, if he wins, then we're kind of protected at all bases. And a lot of my gay friends are not fans of attacking the Catholic Church 24/7 or the church or other religions.
Okay.
Anybody else? One more?
One last question, Vince. Right.
And I can chat with you guys after too. So.
Just a brief comment. There is a Italian-American Hispanic woman who is running a primary against Seth. She's kind of an AOC, but fairly attractive individual, and I suspect she'll get some traction against it, just so you know.
Oh, good. So what's her? Is it?
I don't have the name, but I'll get your contact and I'll send you
Okay.
the thing.
And what's really good about that is it's a big no faux pas. It's supposed to be men aren't supposed to be. A lot of people are worried that men attacking.
Belcito is the name.
Okay.
Belcito.
Well, okay, great. Well, I'm looking forward to debating her if she wins.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you, John.
thank you, everybody. Oh, by the way, very importantly,
Your email address is on.
John Paul Moran. So John Paul, I go by in all my writing and all my politics, but I'm an Irish Catholic Moran. So it's John Paul Moran, just so you know when you see it. John Paul Moran. All right, thanks, guys. If you want any stickers, let me know.
Okay, so our next speaker is our guest speaker.